quickly, for the purpose of Moame Poto and Mantias and Anadri, ye baba ye part 2 of documents where Yakamwa Sem did that. Documents where the new patriotic party will document. Krate and a chair quiet fast where MPP food dim Kugo Kessie Pa Wumuni Bida ever since the party yet 1992. Now in Kugo no Mudi and so woman knew a baby I said. One Casano Brunibeka so almost strongholder and momo abano dudwana mo mudi dim kunim asante mem or hona krate free buy. The krate ya can sem papa. Then sem na umaka so no krata no so akire kwanya wo mo be ya Brunibeka say remedies wo metimi dia resolve problems ni na so ha. Na enu ne bi se anso wo mo de sa recommendations no ebe ye adwuma because recommendations na ehu pa o. Bibre ya kachiro mo ma fa nya adwuma. Ene MPP for na to monum to me yehu se ampa ora Bawumia the then candidate Emma MPP no Bawku conflict no na ne nan ni nitini ne nsa na ehemu bi. Yes. Okay? Eme ye ka se nipa ye kum wo sa Bawku into kwemu no ensunsuemu no ekeka kobe your friend is saying about 100 people have been shot killed. The ohona very volatile but yente yempesa honsam ne baby esu bebre ayehu pa anadwe ubetinsem timokaya Monday mene Cytech security ora Alex Kwekutete dim komo no unse me video bi kire mo helicopter bi su nam wiem sa helicopter yi kire se na sa bre no na ora Bawumia and a share allegation e dia born no se wo mo de nipa bi smuggle or hinful fry or mopesi esi no ho no ye de no echo because on my penina at that time so onim hu bi national security minister onim hu bi interior minister onim hu bi in fact even the chairman of the committee of defense and interior ayora Kennedy Japan cross onim hu bi across board o etina Bawumia anu yi obeyi ne sen up to on fair na ye mai now make be catch MPP for say sente amuntimi ma Bawumia so ndi monim ne kire say region mu aye volatile no one can between the Kusasis and the Mampus, you know. He belongs to one of the faction or a member of the faction. What did you go see at the money ye? There be ye Kasanya semi seven previous at the MPP for Musi he mumuni akutukum because our time na katum nebro to most son and ye and no money. Now tonight, be a neutral one. Afi MPP penin fon kasanso ato money mutuo I justify actually mu kwanya emo mu di nkugo e this very just ended election we obeti omu nya obi e kasa wa obeti nyame na make yes nti eno da nchem now the signed that bill no biom eso and I said the da hwa ye bi di hu nkomo enso ye say Oman Penny John Dramani Mahama His Excellency say yenye economic forum na economic forum near the eden NMB say dey near there. And I'm telling the NDC straight up, say economic forum na moye no, a complete useless. And I'm glad say moye in 2 days, because I'm fast will be a muscle. Professor Dr. Emeritus no mukotsa ni di Ghana sika straight up. No mukresi a chuo mutum. Fast will be, and I'm going to justify to the NDC why this economic forum is bogus. And I do MPP NDC minimum ha. Because mumu mienu sa abay mienu party si mienu me say more take the consciousness of this country pao. I'm telling you mumu mienu ekwanya mudi o mayi fa so no. Yo. Chimensa na kase.
Once the last no make say
yes.
Chimensa is a problem. MPP in Kugo ni ayinyina no. Chimensa a factor or a problem. The problem no I don't know as I shall say. Now, we share more executive secretary now 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 paragraphs. We share the 4th paragraph.
Okay.
We say around 98% of respondents believe region and tribe did not play a role in the elections outcome. Obwa, washeda, obwa. What do you mean, obwa? Because of the promises, say, Bawumia nya obey Speaker of Parliament in Dino, or try say. Or mube maintaining. Now, say region tribe.
Okay.
Any problem one. Until then, I'm away potoza.
Exactly.
Yeah, then, and I'm away potoza. washeda e decide no to system no mu look me say me MPC bi edi nkomo
yeah
look almost sad in your problem and no new problem there is a video
the candidate Bawumia
na make a show there is a video party penny bipa in Ashanti region no mo an interview what say mistake the greatest mistake mo ye so mo fa Bawumia impedifo mo ni mu di o mo di party super in Ashanti region I didn't social media I don't hwe on medim say unya yanka me hu ye na anka me forward ma was it the greatest mistake of me
me nipa ne di ana
what nipa
eni ana
that eni what ye penny ba
oh okay
so on there no was it the greatest program omo de be so a party no no last I was telling you
as a perception.
Yes I was telling you say party there wo hwe bebia wa ho de wo
yeah
no way nipa na free wo da mo amaso John Mahama wo hwe Savannah region sani omu di nachi obiti Bawumia be say 90,000 votes should tell you say yes baby I free no omo pe no
yeah it's a test of your strength
who baby John Mahama in Ashanti region for the first time etima cross 34% of the voter it should tell you something yeah. Any time MPP benya below 75% of the voter turnout in Ashanti region there a problem omo babewe omo babewe we munya 64% 64% in Ashanti region how and you are coming to tell me say a factor look share omo you know omo say perception omo de you know omo say perception that candidate Bawumia was a shadow of the president or a president to say omo be president Akufo-Addo be use edunti ana omo anto number 2 the perception that he was involved in Mamprisi Kusasi conflict or say Chairman-Mensah bonsu oti ho ka say yeah ne report you executive summary no ana ISIU no so on that you know what's it because of that intina man for anto ama no number 2 effective wo de emfa eno no ento nche eti Bawumia de no omo abo mienu e kire say because of that inti adomo mpia nkwankoto
so emu ye dupa yeah
last namo ka Monday na mehwemo there was something I need to correct Sada defense minister nim ho hwe interior minister nim ho hwe ne nipa no nim ho hwe Akufo-Addo the president asa e kan fo nyina omunim how can you get a military helicopter to fly to that place
in the
does it mean oh sorry no akwakotere na tugo it must be worked through somewhere. National Security Coordinator was aware. Interior Minister was aware. Defense Minister, they were all aware.
So almost
ya didn't know behind almost at the blind side of Akufo-Addo.
Yeah, almost smuggle on him new recruit.
Yes.
Now when we pay you.
Okay. So what here?
I just sembeni.
Na oba
munyi sa helicopter no a last year yichiro munyi ma amanfo hwe ai
na say omo eye security ma MPP that before elections officer were too kwan na o ma ya mon sa say mo go ye na you hwe the intel
yeah
ye pick here no nipa be 100 omo mobilize omo Accra Kumasi Tamalene other places omo de koye even police officers in Mufti Bako Krama they know omo ko omo no atum e dey say no omo ga no
really
e dey say no omo ga no omo ko ho no Bako kura ntimama e dey know
eno mai din dia asemi asom ho
hwe in that conflict sa omukoko si hine ne you know I can tell you say nipa bege 700 wuye
but that's scary
they are not
a national security matter
ya ne empese e beka ho asem so on ye no eti safo ni no munim obia ni ho no mu a vice beka se ono wo sorry ya no Kwaku pilot. Said to helicopter near
military one indeed.
It cannot. President travels in the being handled by the national security. That is here you sue a national security minister or the coordinator will call defense. They will call interior. That's all the agent of Cresa said Omunya way. The more yes, I did hear no minimum how a Kufuor any soldier. So
any soldier,
the soldier. Bad boys are going to go like your mama. Therefore, the recommendation. Was a Chairman Sabusu can do what? Washasi. In their recommendation, I will point one a recommendation. Expose you or say Chairman Sabusu. Good. Express or your program of MPP. Recommendation or more at the 14-point recommendation. Abba. Number 1.
Yeah.
Almost say MPP must reform or abolish or expand or retune its delegate system, as over 80% of the party apathy in Ashanti region is attributed to how few people select party leaders under inducement.
This is serious, striking.
Yes. Very striking. Yeah, Kwaku MPA polling station constituency biano. You find say our polling station 100 times 5 people plus 17 people no more.
Yeah.
Plus 5 patron, 5 council of elders. Let's just say omuna kwakoto aba. Then wo na we candidate no wa wo sika no. Utimi tua mo a wo number one.
Look at this.
Meanwhile,
money induced.
Abia. Then the pana o wo sika no. Na man form pe no. That's because o wo sika nti no. No kwakotua. Share Ashanti region. The difficult elections, primaries.
Yeah.
Parliamentary. What to be winning parliamentary you know wo you can say parliament.
Upper is a bit.
What power with your kokoda?
Upper chamber.
Kokoda. You win. But we share 2024 elections now. Since you or is there from one of the seats. And this is winning that or moje. We share the see or boase na a wake up call.
Yeah.
We share I have one north, I have one north south. East or west, a move back. Digina a wake up call. It is our system, no. Almost say, abolish it. Does it make sense? Say, yes, say, in Crawford file more than 5.
Okay.
For presidential. Eti, said the passes crown a file, and the young super delegates. Super delegates, can you say, regional executives.
Yeah.
And I'm saying constituency chairman. And national executive for the national council.
Yeah.
Omu and the Kwakoye. No more foreign branches and also ebi ababeka ho. No more Kwako. Soneso. Agi first.
Super delegates, no. Okay.
Ho and a problem. Ho a problem. Adenti and ye Kwakoto aba. Ye Kwato nipa 13 and then there were ballot paper.
Yeah.
Yisi guys obey super delegate.
No.
Obia said the 30 FILA. No money now qualify or go through or multi meet here. 30 no be appear. 80 Okasa Okako super delegate. The Hodomona me we na me pe we any ade. Ye kwepo nkrofo to line. Send you who ye. I was super delegate.
Yeah.
Emu Kede Japan ne agents ne ye hwe Alanchamanti agents near tutu nani near bono near pamo oh yeah north east one walwale yeah what mu plan any pa say enye say a doctor for a bomb modern town grabian olusu nani any ade sabi ma we nyina ekoso bia do you expect that person
yeah man be say move filing complaints about some of these recommendations earlier before today.
Sadia way or my church or headina no. I will party no much say ye.
Okay.
What you say? I will party no more guess ye. Che 207. Nipa 17. Echo pray president.
Yeah.
Ewo MPP primaries. I don't buy and nipa no do so do. It is say no ye ye best on so. eti akwakoye constitutional amendment say yemfa super delegate mameshem eno ana kwakofa sade we nyina ba eno any program a MPP kwakofa beto wo mwangasa wo mo ho so eti wo mo say nkrofo say sa system no yentwam now police station 555 na wo mo to aba no ye adase e betwam niama party members nyina ababe den ababe tu bia na say ye bebie mu yi kwan bi ombefa so a omo bebie mu no that is recommendation number 1 number 2 corruption or corrupting, coercing and manipulating polling station executives under the guise of philanthropism must totally be eliminated. Nobody or group of persons should be allowed to buy nomination form for any aspirant. One day can tell you. I never Bawumia.
Yeah.
Bawumia was my pure wage in Akam. Hey. Ubi uncle free. Police station for Baby, yes, oh, Bawumia Triadina. Ubi I am in one because say, how can we run a party like that? It's more or less like a monopoly. Say, oh, person we hear Juma Emma party. Show commitment. Say, ubetma. A nomination from 10 cities. Now, person your police station officer. This will be the amount. No. Eti, how would the people work? Or city somewhere. So, yeah. Eti no. Sadia we your muye nyina oh ana maboa we ni ade ID card okra na yesi atua momo we ni eti obi ya na so obi anya bi pe na ekwakoye ye disadvantage amano eti sadi parents so betra se odo so ebetimi ayeye biama ni bi wo kai se Bawumia tua bibi se ya ma omu nyina omu ti hono ma na lanso so okay ana matua register na ya de beye ayi ni nyina watua ka okokotua I billions of cedis old currency no mu so mo fanye the whole register for sa de manema no eti sa mo transe na mo yesa no mo ya ebeye den ana party no ebetimi akodeni eti number 2 no say esese yetwa sa de no mu say corruption wo afro bi no amanisika o kwa kope MP na wutua 10,000 edema delegate wutua 5,000 edema delegate say omunkonkoye ya look parliamentary especially in the Ashanti region a constituency a obenya nipa be 5 airport yen to abani wie no that delegate bia won get esca grow get be 30,000 to 50,000 it is a oya dey say wie e bi start to top fridge e bi to top TV no mo dey call like primaries dey enya ye ni e ti nipa na o ti ho no e dru 7 December you expect that person say wo man hwe onu ankasa sorry no kokoto obepa ni baby atena eti omo e de no so abase sade man emfiri ho na ya eno no mo betime ejai fine so de be fa sade no ebejai ene me pen wu pa o say see no TV che ko bisam ni nam ni o hwe send America for year omo ya and most of the countries omo ba be kwa Germany say omo beto aba ye were designated places bia onukra no ntimi fa posters mi onukra mo ba ko pe wo de abo nti se nipa 5 a wo be hu 5 posters de bo eti the whole area na bia bo se ba bi be ye miensa anase nu bi na ya ye wo kwa posters 5 e bo ho do no wahwe no watwam na wo ko de omo ye ne se omo pebre na sa nkrofo na ba betena TV so na omo debate ya bisa omo questions no mbese omo ye ni ade eti omo ngongo fro obi ase bra na bra betie me oje euro we na ya wo de apakoto aba omo nya sade no eti omo ho no corruption bia ni ho no di ade NSC ye can we go that way the moment abema kwase obi akọ police station gongo ye de sade we ndimi free ho corruption no be koso ho etimi free ho me hwe kwan pass on be implement just better ho sa this one say okay and the constituency by constituency you dedicated sad number of TV stations okay ebia evening 2 hours you the nkrofo no ba better ho na e bisa omo question mo so mo test mo ayimra no mo yiyi ano na ya hwe mo bia nko police station obia say okwakọ kasa we ya ne say we yi o poster bo hodum de bia ba be yi onu no e ba sa na ebia to minimize this sir then this apadia we are want to do me say number no Number 3, no aspirant or potential aspirant or his or her assigned must be allowed to pay for membership forms or dues of any party member at any level. Nana make a cherry. So, mature membership card, mature mamma, Munko free. And this will be a trio membership card amount there. And then that's
a contestant.
One so Kwaku contested there, and then just say, I saw
what 2 votes are
to Ababano. Any other to almost move beyond, yes, I don't know. Yeah, just say, Bay Jumana. I say MPP must take serious look at how it developed Ashanti region, especially Kumasi, in their next government. Why we have been a
so I'm interchange at the order.
And then who follow Parliament Gagra? Or more debate on state of the nation.
Yeah.
What you have and do what you guy? I find or my yapine pa. Why you have and I would just say 12 questions. Abba. Adding in every minority. That is a more yapine. Just a day, 12 questions on roads. And Japan we are away.
It's a lie.
I mean, you had to run actually. Woko Kumasi a month for soon. Now, if you answer, oh, what Tamale. Now, Drew Kumasi from Swami, ran about to Honum, answer now, Obe Cross, Sopa, a sequel, Musa Wokono, Obe Bre Papa. Obe Bre, baby, I will vote to one neglect you. Why you were near free home? Any other. And I feel here, there's a what you want to want the next government. You interested about developer Ashanti region, especially Kumasi. Now, Manso. Adubiane nkwantani hodom no binia so far me e ko campaign e ko ye bia ka de be say 25 minutes be ka
any help by 1 hour
1 hour o ko 2 hours that would him so obi free ho ba kuma say oba be duru no ase wo free yi esreso e wo Libya kwa mu ba bi na e ba hey the hu nyina ye ko and you expect that person to get up and go and then leave. So Kwaku to about the amount. A brand now go to me for 8 good years. One Timmy and fat great dampo, uncle for Fasumpo, and she put quani ya more. But say, walk, quanimu baby sends you twa. Ish, would do what one. Would you know how I say? Ubege ya me fine. This or bomb namquans with the beer. We are Coco Pan on Namquanswa. Ubejina womb baby. I won't. Mu just had your bagwina for 8 good years.
It's inexcusable.
The worst of all cry. You could for project and war your mentions out.
Mentions out.
Sa or market.
Yeah.
That's all.
Yeah, market no one is saying.
Me bomb by a center. President Muhammad Timi and yes, our market.
That's quite serious, though.
No more shady.
Because our project here can want some kind.
Sorry, yeah, can say no. I can't say Ashanti is MPP is Ashanti. Share. Among for ni ebie. Among for ni ebie. Enye party no mu bedi. Wo mo hwe development a eba boa na dwadie mu nsam ni bibia wo ye bia no ebetimi akoso yie e de ama no. Eti eno no. Then number 3. Was it number 5? Was it conflict resolution must be taken seriously?
Yeah.
As it was seen as a major cause of disaffection in most constituencies.
Yeah, we are more case me also have conflict what resolution.
Yes.
Ebra Basano when Alan Kwajochaman saying yourself, Abubakar Sadek, no one can count. Sa issue is send a party and approach him in order to resolve this conflict.
Me say, if you share nimu, Adama MPP or Mujra baby or Mujra. Obiti said
testimony.
Alan Kojo chairman.
Yeah.
Say ye Kwaku ye super delegate. Mo chechi am in crop for 500 years. Sa na che dia monfa mo elections me nko biom. Less than 30 minutes. The one General Secretary just say what name the left from right. No what tripping. We are satisfied with Alan's withdrawal. This that. Also nanka ya nyandi pa 5 no. Ye nya first 4, 5 no mobile bracket. Omo ka ho ebe 6. E dey sesa di pa 2 no omo san heda. No omo sa ko tusu ba ko e dey ka 5 no. Oh one year say wa ye dia and the nipa 5 away and echo in less than 30 minutes. Who said
no, if it's on a premature decision on the side of the
make us say Jimmy Samana. Hey, Jimmy Sam. What you say?
Oh man,
yes, I did. First thing he said, no. I don't know, Tiasia, your best friend, no, you didn't pay for what yes, I didn't cry propaganda speech, big care.
Yeah.
Now, my friend, no one can say, no, that feels okay. We are can as a winter, I had a program. After the Obi Timako. Now, Obi, and yes, satisfied. No, what he say, was over Kwaku.
Do you think that it was a premeditated?
I don't know. Omujina Kabuma Kwaku dini paba bwachi. What do you expect? Do you think we will sit down and think? It's not. One trans engine. Eti ebaya. Oh, yanko. No dear. Some makatre no. The next election.
What do we need
to very poto. Eti why is that the way? I do be number yejina every party no. Che nipa dudua every MPP no. You have no idea. But Jago Kasembi was a land and Yaku drone were free. Now, for my Jap party no more Kumamuno, or more millions. Or when you imagine say, or moon free party no or more Jai party no more.
But that's dangerous.
Very dangerous.
Yeah.
No official Diablo.
I just say Abua Kramaya or no number was saying I won't say no sign. Nipa dear or no number was signs no do with you.
Show number 6. The immediate establishment of MPP Adorye Institute must be taken with all seriousness. NDC for Kokwate, Omu school. Some people for yesterday. Hey, I was just there. Diêd,
propaganda.
Omu Kwaku propaganda. The seriousness NDC for put into this. Afena Mohu. Almost show the Asibe 2009-10 Hobaby. Or what training you
ideological institute?
Yes. Omo establishing OEB. Otukuno Nana ye got a registrar.
Professor Otukuno.
Yes. Or what training for up to now. Afena Abamo Jumu say Mongo baby.
Na Dankwa Institute no dey na dey.
Many a giant.
Say no see part of ideological so.
You will be money venture. Will be money venture.
Really?
I will be there. I will be personal.
A producer domus am MPP.
I don't know free.
Yeah. But national security coordinator. National security coordinator so no free. BNI director no free. Communication director.
Why
do producer fine?
And deputy. Yeah. And produce 10. And produce 10. And did I say now again?
Kakra.
And go for class or no? Who say you twin I am money a church? Me say student to be framing. What you say?
I do.
Say me shower. Me view school. Why test on you? Was it wash me? What steady me? What cheer me? Ache. Na said ye or must say manage a movie. Myself at Makube feeling a gaga. Or catch them say, oh, we school I want your name pizza or Virginia NDC. Oh, men make a choice.
How?
How was saying? NDC at a mess by and Colanco Leia no use woman. Or could you trap Rafa super chimney or mobile money boy mammonia the other and yes, full ministerial status. I don't move. Almost compare NDC and the none of the politics one was all my Johnny MPP. One Johnny, or NDC. And practically, it's showing. So, now, what number 7 now was a well-designed program to attract and register party members in every polling station. I don't crumple there, bogus. A bogus. Police station, impossible. Bibia impossible. What do you say? Eti Kwaku register him. Obetima trust say oh mo register go. Obetima church dini dia bro. Enkoku me my candidate, my constituency secretary, my parliamentary candidate, me name senior city. Me am take care de no on my own. Na be move. Wa obi anyewu. Enti ono grambo dey bogus. Was it a well-crafted operational team should be put in place in each constituency and polling station area. 2, on continuous basis, disseminate the party's information on political ideas and so programs and bogus. No,
team Benny,
well crafted. You can say operational team. MPP 2 baby.
Yeah, do.
That's on Baba appointment. If you anymore, won't you win nipa yam foul? Won't you
partly did.
Oh yes. Won't you wear down for yam foul? That or more combat to my year humano. No motive. Yeah, Kwako is Sancro for near your Omukwana or more ye and yeah, guys, oh, near Tiano. I don't pay no apart from that, Jim. A giant operations is part of which my catcher me say MPP 4 in place. Yeah? That may as a single person to me for dismantle or more operational year. No, what you're here for. A whole party.
Terrible.
I mean, terrible. Some of the executives, you know, were more elected or more in error. Now you're error. What per party organizer? Radinyango. Idia. It is the money in a Number 10. Number 9, sorry. Was it important research work of this nature must always be carried out beginning the first few weeks or months after conduct of presidential and general elections to enable the party to discover all major factors that have tendency to derail the fortunes of the party in subsequent elections. So I report of every election you be a committee, committee. 2020 year, Wamote or Safumafo committee.
2020 no.
2020.
Yeah.
After a year, now be a candidate. Or Safumafo the report no man find your duma.
Nene kwane pie simple.
Me say o man find your duma, or both twini baby. The recommendation
really?
Say you share say ya. Say this say the course so candidate way the way I was born home or no. Monya the DC, Monya the MC. Yes.
Now I recall.
Oh yes, I know money na or more to just or more to chine kra. Et you do me na na sika say ye kwa. What you say? Yeah, committee. Na you say general secretary Kwaku 12 billion. Na Kwaku 6 billion. No the ama seven fan konko ye.
Na nka no de den.
And you no angasa na bitim.
Yeah, very, very serious.
To me, aye. So, was it number 10? Was it to the greatest extent possible? The presidential and parliamentary primaries, in particular, when the party is in government, must be held on the same day. And yes, a party no government. Anytime we are these two must go together. Ebia obi support to candidate A.
Yeah.
And obi support to candidate B. Ebia candidate A no, and potential winner.
That's right.
But candidate B and Kwaku winning the presidential candidate now winning. You know, and ye coerce obia. Mongo tuma ni pass mercy. Or no, and if you ever betam sika dia breno. Said J na fire campaign. No Kwaku winning. Mokwa no my report. No more lose seat. Then they kai down. At all times, you know. So, Muba be yes, Adina. I saw Mutubo. Last year, you say, I know, yes, okay, you're two presidential and parliamentary in Abumwa. And how they go to Tsunami and KBC. And Kabu Tsunami and KBC. That's what Munim said, you know. They are separate, you know. So, with the Wababe candidate, on the bottom, as a J, Fakoyo primary, near summer with the Kokoye. Or more to be sustained.
Dissipation of funds.
Make a chiro. Not make a chiro. It is how do you expect to say over winning general elections? Number 3, government and other government officials, when the party is in power, the committee chairperson, ranking members in parliament, when the party is in opposition, must be involved in communicating the party's vision, programs, and so and so. This is the nonsense part. And the J.Kufu, one minister already
yeah. Say, minister.
Yeah.
I didn't know this Salakuna and better.
No. That was it. Yeah, Babeka economy. Maybe what Rahadiana Mekoka. It was Safumafo as the can say finance minister. What no, I know Papa JFM for Fredo. No, a church in Semu, no piece of Freda, you class for Fredo, we more Fred. Or no, at the back Casa about the economy. ye kasa about security either interior minister the defense no abom no ba kasa wo mo kasa wie no na fe na ye ne ye kwakọ ye ho
nkomiom sniade
but no mo yes oh yeah the sana na etie 2008 me metina radio so say me kasa ma ayina na sa na tie eti wo mo ye na sa oba be kwa yipe ye say osafo mafu be kasa o ha tie we be kasa wa ha utie we wie party we. It was coordinated.
It was very effective.
Yeah, very effective. And the communication director, Muyi no cry, you watch it. Yeah, when you watch it. I feel the moment said, "Don't go to Muna. You need to money. You Muna." I started to try radio, so I'm saying, "Hey, come to make us all radios." What to make us all radios? Number 12. What no such a means about?
Okay.
Was it the party must develop a code of conduct for all aspirants, be it presidential or parliamentary primaries, in order that internal party contests do not turn into a fratricidal war of conquest versus the conquered, which ends up in extreme polarization within the party. Or say Chairman Sabunsu, why you no hunya trum, no tihodumna, or to some. Eto abonten hwe wo hwe MPP ayina code of conduct no e wo ho do mo ahihya to ho every election year bia ni asan dia to abonten wo ye party executive a unyi wanim enkonko di ba kofo ati
yeah
nia eya de say ye primaries wo bedru ebia alan kwa shantiriji na om te no ho no ono afre regional chairman no ama the team asene letter enso so akwa no na yasuma will be from the region abana kodo ho say Allen bada say oba be share regional executive obechi so pepe ye twem sa wo bedru ho no yeso o bibi nti oni ho okwa akra wo behwe na bia Bawumia nam central region na wontu bi di na chi wo ho aspirant na wo ba Ashanti region ono emfa no ho waja hoko obukwa kodru another region na chairman no eni honum me say obutimi threaten chairman fo ni bia say apart from Bawumia no obi e ba me nkotem
me receive no
me nkotem
in the region
me na me ka kire I was involved enye say obi na e ka na mate ye call rounds nyina Eastern region ana hafo omo pe ana chairman for no etna mu these two regions en kan ni na obako na chairman for ni ho obako do mu ni ho bisa minim secretary Japan camp almost experiencing the same thing all other experience adom ka ho almost experiencing the same thing. The only person obeko region na chairman ni nkrofo nyina ye set
was the vice
president. Now, we just had your money now, a bad now, apart from this, you know, national executives no more radio so no more can Bawumia and the local and I say a better than a party. Or said Hopeson Adorye was majority leader of government business. Would ye national executive member? Oh yeah, or no yeah, steering committee member, or a member of you can't say NEC, National Executive Committee, or a member of National Council.
Oh dear.
I don't but to no KFM. Oh, see, I'm for Bawumia and Kwaku I said, no, yeah, for Bawumia and party no who the need to suspend him. Now, Obisa, oh, yes, I know. Now, who you be? And now speak an about.
That's right.
About. So, what you did, and then can level playing field. And come here now, and then how you speak out. How would you konyamu down?
God, I tell you, speaker, yeah, your friend can share free gymnastic. Say, or maybe tumpong na economy no so ejina ne nan so a. Diêd kan no say. The brony friend is ideologicals na parties me and no ye adwana. Esa mo touching tugu muntungu. The NPP believes in what you call the capitalist economy or the competitive capitalist economy. That's what the NPP believes in. NDC for no so believes in the socialist socialism no near. So when leftist and the rightist na monam na moko. Now, as I said that I maintain, say you must depart from this ideologicals. Secondly, we need to foster national cohesion, devoid of political extremism, antagonism, and the tendency to walk from the path of foreign ideologicals. The Amasa idea twice to saying, Afi see a trans say as o mino ye na ya beti a ho say MPP, NDC, CPP, whichever the parties are, that's yenim. It is rather of say ye be a national forum, some national forum no. And this our party see na beba round table, devoid of say we yetimi, we are coming, we say extremism say ye say near tier that extremism kind of and now fundamentalist no mutwaso. Number 2, afi ye be ya adwen say eni me be ye antagonism we yetimi wa kame ne sa nema no so ye de beto ho na afi ye wia ne ye den ye de sa foreign ideologicals na mudi ye adwuma no so mfengu baabi na te say ye kekako baabi o because ye nipa ye oman and ye oman a ye de ye ho ne ye we tumi sabri se wo your mind to say Ghana nese ideologicals na wodi bu man no e yo bi ideologicals na de wodi bu man de no just say unim nyansa ni ye nim nyansa na just say ye ne ye ho ya me ya adoma ochena mu bedi 68 years eboa 68 years full of foolishness that is nothing to write home about. 68 years and yet your political ideologies now would you boo mine and you don't even have your narrative. It's in America trying say sa political cohesion ebe boyen na fi am ye the influx of the western ideologies no egunchen afi mumiem having a narrative of our own ye betu din saying and yes socialism and definitely must also not be there a capitalist economic ideologies. No. You would be a bit to me the afternoon. Yet Nasia, see a transnear, ye pick a big forum, ye be who dear as see a detour. The atos will be a fee a dini at the betusunum, sa a dino, sa ideological must reflect in our way of doing things. One, our traditional setting, our religious settings. Okay, that's informs our narrative. Anamunim. Because on mine you was said ye and your mafa. Yes, suma, yes, sum, hampono, and ye yesum. A you be mine so esum, and ye diabre. What do you know he? Traditional, eye a mani any a mamreno. Ah, ye jenny, bisase, ye diafa, ye diatohe. Ya totuni na saram, a bow down for we are sick. Now, when you go and import a foreign ideology like what? Socialism, no, what the Bawumia where ni location where he socialism where capitalism na nuja hefa. And so who the God gave you the power, God gave you the wisdom, God gave you what? All the intelligence to sit to think. Now they have thoughts over how to plan their nation based on these ideologicals. What about you? It's always that when you look at the foreign ideologies now, it has been informed on the heels of what? Their way of life, their culture, their traditions, and everything about them. What about you? Now, so when we sit to think and plan this rather would help us mitigate the influx of the Western influence, including to redirect, realign the disposition of the blueprints reflecting national in character. Jones afi yetnasia. Ne ye hihye sa nneoma nyina wia. Afi ye benya ensowano ba ko a sa ensowano no enu ne friend the blueprint. Etubun say amanyo kuina ye benya ye ho ntiase se da bi o oman ye die ni. Enti afi ye na ya kan ye ho abomu a enso wano ne ba ko pe ye book ba ko pe. Sa book no enu eni ye na ya tire fidue mu ha ne ya tro enioma 1 up to saying oha. Se sa ne me ya ye tro de egu hei. Wei eni edi bedi den ye de bebo oman ne ho bra. That is first one number one step. Again, yeah, no, so devoid of what you call political party manifestos. And yes, I be no any ebabeti political party manifesto, and ya did party manifesto be yejuma. And so we say, for 32 years into this democratization, ever since the NDC have all times dwell on their political manifesto. And then 32 years. The new patriotic party have dwelled on their political party manifesto. And you think 32 years is not enough to see developmental agenda? No. And so say, at least, actually, given the circumstances of the situation, beyond timelines will be 8 years. And after 8 years, when they go, the next will be to see here what we are hearing today. Blame game. And I'm about 8 years, and I'm also call 8 years. This foolishness, now, senseless kind of people. This is what we believe in, and we think that we can go on this. If anything, this tangent, the status quo ain't changing. No, I didn't hear. And Bibi in Kassan said, no, there must be a paradigm shift. What is wrong with these people? Okay. My last visit to Rwanda was somewhere about 4 years ago. And that Rwanda has not yet implemented 20% of its developmental goals out of the national policy driven. Yeah. We drew on a shekrunwa. Utimze, one more a chrono own. And yeah, about and a meme manifesto say, no. They have Rwanda hey yao. That is why sooner rather later, Rwanda would take the next leadership in the whole of Africa. Next by Burkina Faso. Anyway, Ibrahim Traoré. What is here the manifesto send Diêd more? No. What he's doing in Burkina Faso clearly depicts what? National in character. Meaning, said, this is how they want Burkina Faso to look like. So that man over there, and himself, Burkina Faso, we must develop it. We are not waiting for the Bretton Woods institutions. In the first place, when the IMF approached me, he said, to hell with your whatever money it is. Then he sat down and said, this is the way forward. This is our goal. This is our aspiration. This is the target. They have a target. They have their roadmap. The roadmap is what you call the national in character. What about you? Gateway to Africa, golden age of business. Gateway to Africa, golden age of business. A beacon of democracy. If this is not one of those stupid cliches that Ghana has proud herself all throughout till tomorrow, 68 years. Now, in the same spirit, in the global south, the global west nations have developed primarily based on national policy driven and not on party manifestos. In the global south. All right? This when they have common sense is that when you go to the global south, as you call the Chinese, the South Koreans, the Indians, and show they are not implementing ideologicals of the West because the global West are also implementing ideologicals in embodiment of how they see things and how they want to go about it, reflecting national in character of their religion, of their culture, on everything. What about us? And you say, China. Now, Chinese, if you say, you want the Chinese government to develop by way of speaking English language there. Who bondok or the other thing? These are the people with deep brains and they think deeper. What about us in Africa? No. Yet then and just ever since after slave trade nim kwasum de just the we are not changing. We cannot lift the bar. We are not ready to lift ourselves out there. But look what is going on into homes. China will continue to be the second largest economy, not because they are dependent on the Western world. Say obi meka brofin and chrom. No, obekwa China, obekwa Japan. Japan was once upon a time the biggest, largest economy of the world until Japan. You're saying the Pearl Harbor War with the U.S. All right. Now, ask yourself the questions. The fundamental arrangement and the pivot to which the global south is developing with the speed of light. What made them to run their economy so with the speed of beam light? What are those fundamental elements we need to look at and we can learn? It's about yourself, self-realization. You must realize yourself and see yourself who you are. You must challenge yourself and also say, yeah, Jack, me too, I can do it. I don't need to import foreign ideologicals in order to see whether I can be able to manage myself or not. And this is where we are. That all these ideologicals must be abolished. Let's sit down as a people, as a nation, and say, what do we need? What are we to do? A military officer, for once, I would say in all time, Ochina, President Mahama, Mabain, Lieutenant General Kutu Echampon. You have to eulogize this guy because I can see him. There has been a concerted effort to eradicate, or if you like, to expunge his name from the Ghana's political record. But because why? Is so remarkable. This is a guy or buyer or share listen. 3 fundamentals no digital so it develop your man. Or share Ghana for him no see Ghanaians must understand the need for what you call what? Self-realization, self-reliance. All right? Self-reliance, local participation, and local indigenization. Then above for he said to Ghanaians, what? Ghanaians must espouse to greater economic height. This is what that soldier, San 7, Nino, Kutu Echampo, San 7, Asemo Kache Minu Mieno. And guess what he did? He was able to move this country's economy to the greater height, to the extent that at a point, Ghana was exporting food. Ghana was exporting fish to neighboring countries around, including South Korea and Japan. Go and check the records. Under the Fourth Republic, which of your president has been able to manage to, put out this? None. Or the agriculture or the DDC, okay? Or the agriculture. And Newma Otumiyeno, unprecedented. He used agriculture. What about Monzwe? And in Tubunse, under Kutu Echampon, Ghana never imported food like you are seeing today under MPP NDC. 32 years. Go and check the record. Now check it. How much of what? Metric tons of rice we have imported into this country. How much tons of what? Poultry we have imported. Mudia no. Namosi Adwene nyadwuma. The brains are not working. Adwene and nyadwuma. With the Minister of Agriculture. And once the minister is there, we are still importing poultry. Once the Minister of Agric is there, we are importing rice. Once is there, we are importing maize. Abodam some sick people, sick. Tomorrow, you are going to celebrate your 68th. Go to Dubai. So, the global south know what they are looking for and they know what they want. And then, the U.S. government has launched a massive tariff war against the super allies, including China. But America, for any reason, said, listen, Charlie, that tariff war, no, Trump and Kenya, he's going to bring one massive warfare against the global stage. And they don't care. Canada is ready, Japan are ready, China is ready, listen, we've reached a world our own. Obia and Tayo Bio. Nya fina ubetron wayo humo sem. You think somebody have the time for you? When a nation like Ghana has all that it takes to drive through this economic shackles and hassle, and your inability to foster common grounds and to develop yourself? You think that Trump should send how much of aid to Africa, to Ghana, so you survive? Madness. Because it doesn't make sense to me that in this global competitive capitalist economy, if we have to even stay a while longer with this, the point is, are we about belief that we cannot compete in it when Ghana ranks the second largest exporter of what? Gold. When we rank the second largest exporter of what? Cocoa. That in the whole world. Wo na utumidi cocoa e comedy at the dode nimne sa ni omaneman. Na wuti ho say you cannot use cocoa to beef up your GDP. And that's the only way of your survival is to move this whole country, how many population, to the table of IMF and eat a humble pie. We are bought down for. The leadership, MPP and NDC, we are bought down for. You are sick. You've been sick for far too long, and you need to be told in plain words. One too many of this intellectual elite class have disturbed the consciousness of this nation all this time, and you've taken the country to abyss. Yeah, intellectual elite class, no. Mona mudi se eduma no. So now what share consistently in penifo mabe manager menya. Womu na obehwe no, womu nim de no, enye baby amudi edru o there bi. And so hwe kwan omu etimi manager omen e de omen kodru baby omne kodru ya. So in the days of Ene Metina professor no on yede ne chairman no, he was there talking some rubbish. I'm saying, Master, come on, munyai. I mean why it's John Mahama will take it that step. And I disagree with you. Because for you to develop this country, John Dramani Mahama, the President, Your Excellency, Mr. You don't need economic forum. There's so many ways. You need serious brains, think tanks, and your Professor Dr. Emeritus now, woman hoover around these political organizations and does nothing. How? You have everything there. There's a way we cannot take raw gold into the market. There is so many ways we cannot take cocoa, rosa, ninara. Which way can we refine this? And then we also join the competitive capitalist world. How? China for it to hold air Chinese casa. America, say Russians can Russian casa. Dubai for it come casa. South Korea air can casa. Malaysia air can casa. Singapore air can casa. Now what ha? Now what the say? Yendi your constitution or Mombe John say by camera and a dear na fahane ye say and a fahane say na musisu na bro for casa baby. Just a moon nim dia moye. And then Ibrahim Tuare or the Omani Sini Kwan so pepepe any America too. He's not waiting for the IMF. He's not waiting for the IMF. No. And we all know the consequences lie thereof of this IMF and what they've done to this country. And Monday, I told you people said, at least there is a living testimony said one president onubedi fought or constitutionally organized a fourth Republican constitution way. At least he had a share with IMF. And ono alone, or enough steps and a guide for the rest of the president. And why former and late Flight Lieutenant General John Rawlings. After Rawlings, Etu Liman or Bertrand. Barely 2 years, then Rawlings also faced some economic shackles, and that was the beginning of then the IMF were getting closer to us because they wanted to oil the government from the power. And what did they do? Rawlings at a point realized, Charlie, the way I know my economy. No, the economy of Ghana hit the iceberg. And all that Rawlings could do at that time was to throw his hands in despair to catch a glimpse. The IMF of today, they were there. And they told him something. You need to embark upon economic recovery. The essence of this will be to lay a foundation of a productive, sustainable, efficient economy, clarifying the prospect of the world creation in the nation under the period of stabilization. 87, 89, the same structural adjustment and development. They call Rawlings quietly and say, you know what? Put out your economic team. And Rawlings called big boys, Justice DF and Anamu Bemubi, Nathaniel Kwa no mu be movie. PV Obin mu be movie. The Ahoy brothers ni be movie. And then they introduced Ghana to what? PAMSCAD, UNDP, Global 2000 near then. Then lately, yes, I'm better than Beijing in Asefo. Edmuko see him. Mumizamo. All these leaders here, Moti MPP, and this didn't you see it? So when at this time, any year cano, yes, see Diêd Ntikuma and Ansetras and Tukuma won't trans in Tonko. And still, we continue to do our way and our life same. That will take us to the corridors of the IMF. And I'm saying, why can't you seem incapable of reversing the trend? The status quo ain't changing. The trajectory hasn't changed. So then, if the trajectory hasn't changed, I am here to ask the question, who is thinking for this country? Who is thinking? And once who? They told Rawlings, listen, Rawlings, you need to embark upon restructuring through political liberalization. And so they ensure elections for district assemblies were held in 1988 and 89, followed by the appointment of committee of experts and the consultative assembly to draft the constitution of the Fourth Republic. To draft the constitution of the Fourth Republic. And by then, the national referendum of April 1992, which approved the constitution by overwhelming majority. What was to be the crowning event was the presidential elections in December 1992, followed shortly by parliamentary elections. What is striking in that process was the effort by Rawlings to strengthen his claim to domestic and international legitimacy, whilst at the same time managing the process in such a way as to continue the PNDC control. He was smart. He knew that they were forcing to gag his government out, but at the same time, he was being smart not to give away for these Bretton Woods institutions to sneak through, and then they will establish their own corporate puppet government. That was all about it. They wanted to establish their own corporate puppet government. And that's what they've been doing to Africa and nations around the world. Because in all of this, Rawlings, together with Chekatan Nasifo, had begun institutional reforms and political reforms. They tried. The U.S. intelligence agency, CIA, tried several coup attempts. Go and read the report. So all these IMF conditionalities, come on, they ain't taking you anywhere. They simply want to take over your resources. And the moment Ukraine. Ukraine produces 56% of the global consumable oil. Now we say Asam Ketwa. They also produce 56% of the global what? Flour. Esam yadiye bread miyedi, including pharmaceuticals. Oma jeju tata sa do me kudru anoma krom abom say bam afi do me se momra me sane agreement ni use mo amodenya mo ankasa mo resources no ni creative fund face go mo develop man am omo no awie. America has supported Ukraine with all military hardwares, Tomahawks, cruise missiles, and against the backdrop of the Russians, day, night, pounding events in Ukraine, including the apocalyptic Mariupol. They have pounded the Chrono to ashes. They don't care. Now, the same reconstruction, the same thing between Israel and Palestine, and Americans now started a preparation. Now, America for person only the whole event in Tel Aviv. Do you know why? Now, Africa, Ghana, Motiha, Mumudiane say, Sikana Bawu, Yabajini Yedi, Yadebani Yedi, government way back, or see way millions go way bottom, way so do way kwa. Let say, when the money come out, all that you are comfortable is to steal the money and put the money in banks, local foreign banks. I put down for sick people, no job, Jamie Cook, when he say, we are professor, whatever. My friend, clear off. These two parties way, a kwaya mudi o menya fa so no. You hear economic forum, you hear economic dialogue. One too many of these dialogues, and it's bogus and useless. And stop it. Give Ghanaians break. Monko head the global south air course. People are thinking, "Wamu smart watches." No many adu says brain no him fa. Yeah there and now tell the Chinese about Afrifa-Mensah the cocoa. Sooner rather later, China would become one of the mass producer an exporter of cocoa. Na mosomotia. Said the yen dada no adi kasa ba kon e kan o ade sa na ye o sa na tie sa na de ukọ efuo mu ha dade na ye di pai cocoa ni nipa nse etwa. Chinese for no so developing machines and ye de dem they pai cocoa no kama. Economic Forum is the president. Your patrol Traso MYA M1 sit to think with serious people, serious-minded people. Oh, your 4 years will depend what you leave. That will warrant the comeback of the NDC. And today, some of the agriculture and agribusiness need to move Ghana there. Well, yeah, because somebody succeeded in doing that. Me say somebody succeeded. Oh. Yes, Kutu Champion succeeded beyond reasonable. Come on, he turned the whole of Esuchare, turned us with the rest as rice hub. Ghana was cultivating rice. A common neo major to the sense that we were exporting. Namoba, NDC bar, MPP bar. Near see Minister for Agri. Na Minister need to not ye import rice if free. Thailand, ye import rice if free. Near the bar, fish, no for poultry. Meanwhile, move to me cultivating in our or Chinamuba be 60 years. Despicable human beings, good for nothing. With your so-called Professor Dr. Emeritus, what? Good for nothing. They ain't got sense in their heads. Nyansa Baku knew omutrinim. Domin mani sika dia ni medie ni some basa. A cromfo criminals. Everybody, omu na ya cromfo. Omu nimshe. Now, the politics of today, part 2. Afrifa-Mensah MPP for also headquarters. Politics of today, President John Dramani Mahama had told his dreadful truth to Closak. He described the criminal nature of Ghanaian economy. Was run by his predecessor, and he declared Ghana as a crime scene. Ebinye. Now, your man Peniko share Closak and the catcher say Ghana abedane crime scene. The India, one blame game nino said the predecessor and the economy ni jana no. Or say the predecessor and error and economy like a criminal organization. Hey, as Papa sir, take a listen to him.
Comrades, you know we are your natural allies, and we've worked together for many years. One thing that is a cardinal principle for us is to tell the truth at all times. We all knew the economy was in crisis, but some of the things I'm discovering myself, I mean, it's been a criminal handling of our economy. And Ghana is a crime scene, actually, because how our government can have been so reckless, I cannot understand. But we're faced with a reality, and our options are very few. We can behave like the ostrich and hide our heads in the sand and let the economy crash. But then what effect would it have on Ghanaian households and everybody? And so I've told him, I said, cut expenditure as much as you like. Even we ourselves in Office of Government Machinery, cut as much of our budget as you like, because we all must make those sacrifices. A certain distrust of the political class has arisen, because it's like when everybody else is tightening their belts, the political class is loosening its belts. But I want to assure you that we're all going to tighten our belts, and there will be no wasteful expenditure. It is said that we create a share, and so let's start cooking the meal.
So, as some president take catch, because all kinds of money close like for it. One more per day increments be need and for Hennessy. Simon, and who's the president in the Casanova only any mobile? President on here mobile. Say, on one case, Ghana Yasami mobile, but Yasami Yamobile so sour, say, and Yamobile because Sabi in previous son, young son a year ninety Yasamaya mobile. I'm telling you, share Nippon Rio, no, a Jana and ye Jumano, and I'm a Yahuya, sir. Isikana ba womu sub womu de sika rough nyeso womu di omu no ye de titoniama na womu de yakesesem e wo manim kwase asem nko a na womu timanim na womu di akaka bensem kwa hedi obi ye wo China kwa hedi obi ye wo South Korea kwa hedi obi ye wo Singapore is using their bayam Sanitation, oh, sanitation to develop Singapore. The Malaysians are using what? God damn it. Hey, and my partner, Yabu Bodam say, Ochina Mubedi 68 years. Onyame from born in Chamo. Ghana ni penny biara. Ah, what small main one way. We a former minister. If you are still a minister, we a former minister, former district chief executive, municipal, whichever position they are from Ghana, bow your head in despicable shameful. We are in Guasifo. What? We are in Guasifo and Kasa. Mobra pepebia. Tina mu rough no. Now listen to this. Elements within the leading opposition, New Patriotic Party, have started narrating the source of the party's loss in the just ended election 2024. Let's start with a member of parliament for Old Tafo, Eko Asefua, who described some of the appointees CEOs were very wicked. Afiyenra MPP, kwan mo afa so a wo party ni edi nkugo no. Ene kwan ye nkugo ne ba no wo mo kasa. Yen sha sem free a member of parliament Emma Old Tafo. Eko Asefua o emi pa na nsem ni bia wo kan o se dan. O se ni nipa ni bu o ma wo mo ye CEO fo a party elect o ma wo mo trimu odin yi papa. Na asem wo kan ye tro ana ye ne kre pa. Listen to him.
Me wo CEO bi. Before my God that I serve, and the altar that I serve in the Catholic Church, and a CEO sacked me from the office because I was in an appointment as an MP.
What say?
Yes.
What say?
A CEO sacked me from the office. Said me MP. I mean, your friend say appointment.
Oh, party.
I'm saying this.
Oh, party member.
I'm telling you.
Yes. Wouldn't in the appointment.
I'm telling you.
So leave his office.
Yes. Because they don't understand the party. Omunim party for them. Oh, to one year, you my party. Who I rather. It happened in front of the former finance director of the party, Collins.
Collins.
Go and ask. Collins is my witness.
Now so na
Really? When you offer say John Asebi, where we are information in the fee.
And I say no.
And you offer Nagasebi said,
I don't want the appointment as an hour.
You offer Waka baby. Na me a free Tafuba no office or parliament, and I will do for your mobile honor. Me obi appointment.
So what is the way forward?
Now, he further described some CEOs also at the energy sector as very cruel and wicked. I feel saying he said, and penifoni bia ye woma wo energy sector wa no mo CEOs no. Omo so omo nyini papa, omo nya ka ho and MPP edisa ankugo. See the Okan, listen to him.
But I think that the MPP has gone through a certain cycle. We've learned a lot, even within the short time. We've learned so much to the extent that so ba bemwa to me, you know, the ma wo mo ye adwuma na omo nim party for me yesterday on a certain platforms. Energy sector, Ministry of Energy, agencies show massive. Me your train yadwa. A chimodin for who doesn't help party. Me fancy
energy.
I'm telling you.
Yeah, they are brought for the Google.
I'm telling you, they don't help the party. Boys now woman now mono kwaji vote the back. Vote office senior no why am on politics that. And this is one freeway. No man resources. One man resources. I'm an uncle vote now mama one be ACU 7. Now answer vote.
Do you
senior take your time? Let me stay there. Some of the CEOs are wicked. They are the reason MPP and Lusu Basa, some of the CEOs, very wicked people who doesn't help the party. They have no, your friend say, Timampo, at my party for. It's as if position your modia. When you need things, I would never party now.
Because and crying no, am I right?
Senior.
Because
Mbese mekasa yentie mu de emientie bia. Again, he admitted that MPP lost the 2024 elections fairly due to their inability to be circumspect. Afi o kire mu biom saying. Ose MPP yedi nkugo pa se de yedi nkugo no sa pepepe sa na boni bie ni mo ne kwan so pepepe. Listen to him.
What you say? MPP lost fairly and squarely because
we lost this election fairly and squarely because of
and spiritual said the secretary.
No, His Excellency Nana Addo Dankwa Akufo-Addo. He will go down as one of the best presidents this country ever had. Well, yeah, I'm telling you. But as I said, senior, San Crawford no amo G2 minutes. Amo ye 2 minutes amo personal bona fide property no. They should bow down their head in shame.
He called on Asanteman to throw back their support to the party in the next political activities. He will say, Asanteman oho ye tro krata we efri enom. The next election munye omadom na mumbeboa. I don't know say eno ebeba so ana basa pepepe ena miami nua ekwa asefua. Listen to him.
We've appeared so nice and we've appeared everything is okay.
Honorable Vincent, that was say you are
not.
That was Solo,
going forward, you know, party for no, party for no, ebe my apotre. Niya share party ni biu. Yeah, young people ne woman me ne Kwaku and all the other young people. You will do what is right to get the party to stand again. We have apologized to the people. We have pagan of what, especially at Santa Mai. That whatever transpired, they happened. Maybe at that time, you movie, yes, someone you do, and now see you do to be able to do or correct certain things. But this time, we will not allow those things to happen. Yes, for us to build our party once again. MPP, so that the love that they've had for the party since 1992, even before 1992, our master MPP Musa. They should do that for us. Yeah, my minimum more job, my minimum more Kumasi, or more Ashanti region, or more deep party no yano, or more fancy. It is because the people who had the opportunity to be able to help, they are not really known. But they are the people who were really
wicked.
Echo Vincent Asefua Nediano. Next in line is Stephen Amwa, a member of parliament for Nshiayeso constituency. He described the party's loss due to sycophancy and hypocrisy. Afi stekaso de abeka home. O say party ye di nkugua. Nkugua ye di and de na de bae. E nya chom. Ena ma party ni di nkugo. Now what kano ono ankasa a leading candidate of the nya chom. Ono ankasa stika na ankasa. Listen to him.
Number one. Now you impact. Sa entwitwa na ase metan obi me hyeda di ntro de metimaya de mintiminye ye mpotre we se ye ma we nya bi ye ni ntro enkata no kure we so ye ni ntro mpagya we MPP eno ye number 1 enti amadi obuoni fra no cohesion teamwork enkabo na ken ukwa akoba Black Star edi enti na bedi pele ne ma na edu ebo Black Stars edi enti akafra adentia omunimbo omo qualify meboa.
That's right.
Oko competition a yenye ya dwen se de wonko obi kura se da ya na dwen se o twasteka ana wo twa kwaku ana wo twa yaw se ne be ya Dr. Bawumia ba na ado ba ana asmasi ba ono nko abagi ni madinti omutimi ya na ya bench all their good players ewi asusu nyansa ni nimdia ni ahodin ni ba akoti. It calls for collectivism to build competitive edge for any organization in the world. It's a ma wenu ma hurahura ene ntro ntwato so nu akose we akere panyi we nu akoka we na binom ne ma hyekokuo na binom de ntro ne ade no obi akro ya mpia o say
number 2 e dey be biem ne ka ho.
Stika bejina TV so aseden ade amoye o me munhwe ne o video no sa video no munhwe se o wa o se ade amode ye o me enye o de ye ni ti ya ye pagya post de man wa pe okogina parliament o se moye de ye be pass me need time for that video no today This guy, wait. Honestly, Nadia Besenko. I am the same one more day. You are counting your losses in the just ended election 2024. Former General Secretary John Diêd, honestly, Eminia also stepped in and fire all cylinders. He described many government appointees at the time as a problematic to the MPP lost. John Diêd is also between to say, hey, there be government appointees in the Amwa party. Now, me must say, it's no money now. Did you know this? And what did you do? No money. You can't no fire. You can't. Most of you be here propaganda. I feel the moment you did. When some of us were talking to you people to let and kasam, and I'm saying you kuta political party card minti oh munyano wakan kwasi asemebwa. Na say na ye say you say wo konfopa etio memo konfo boni betufo omani bebo na ebo munya atimu bi e na mo fa yasam a chesa nsem we monkeka e ya na magimuni so tie dia John Diêd so ode abeto pono so listen to him.
Those government appointees, most government appointees,
putting them under pressure.
A bold decision should have been taken. So we are government, we are government appointee. Who are quite some contest will be a year offer no.
But not where you were sitting members of.
Where you were sitting member of parliament, because the are young and they say, who are come home? If you are your opposition. Why yella la sula sa abedi MP? Ya ba iso abemu so a ya ma minister board iso a board edo koto so no uko meeting a ya ma 1200 na mo board visitor
any lucrative
me say me board visitor uko meeting a ya ma 1150
jama oil refinery to oh, so
that's the dinner elde.
I say oil refinery. TV is on and quiet there.
You know, it well, Ona when ya post. Ona was saying the second one contest abedi MP. Who one contest you? Obi o kon kan kukudu da o. Na nyame aboa na yenya
to me.
Na de wa kwose baby kakra bi. E ho no baby a o shedi nti no. Say a recruitment who to make the 10 echo constituency MP near Chai man back. Say Ocean Cars bar who to make the 5 MP no on ye be crapoda. Ye come maker who to make Sisa imams there's 8 at the come maker MP no on to me in Fabako Cranco. Ye frank or 4 porter who to make a room because of the baby Ocean. A year by feeling by my 2000, I hope
so John Diêd not on a certain day abeto. Let's say on mine I mean Tim was here. 2 parties CBB amudi sa ewiase we ya yetim we modeko. Eno na me sha se make a chem no. Ye na ye hu na nya obi na oye o. Your IMF won to baby dwom ho, mommo nwom ho. Ye na ntumi hu ye bra ebo. Eni tira make say economic forum me ne joma amanya adwene da. No, because economic forum wow. Ghana has been somewhere before. Media na mini but at least we have known say Ghana and na me di kutu example the example say Ghana exported food to South Korea, Japan, including neighboring African nations. Kwame Nkrumah time Ghana was exporting Debeya, nails, and nails. Kwame Nkrumah time, Ghana was exporting tobacco, and then swear. Mugusu here exporting. So what happened? Where are those intellectuals? Where are they? When we see the Asia say again in any age when any share, and the even pa never justify say you cannot handle your economy. Now be call IMF. This was Kwame Nkrumah time. Ghana was there. We were at manufacturing of cars. So ye ni na bi wa ha. Kutu Nkrumah dey nkrumah say makwa actually. Say me say ne ye den. Ye tobacco. Afisu nails are dey yet nail. And that's nails na mu import to the ba. Ana Kutu a champion time. Uni ma dey. God, we're assembling plants here. The Volkswagen, VW Volkswagen, and Mobile Kaya. the likes of the Kwaku Annan were going around and they were putting posters around, say, Kwame Nkrumah, events, say, Kutu Champon. Di Ghana, Manum, Tino, near to the Fautobeje Golf. But you see, when your history gets distorted, that's as a result. But that story completely has been adulterated and distorted, and that's not true. Kutu Champon, apparently, at the time of the events, the German Volkswagen for air column. They were here assembling plants in 1975-76. And when they were going, they sold what? The VW Volkswagen to Kwaku Motors. And Kwaku Motors bought your friend said VW. And then guess what Kutu Champon did? Kutu Champon ensured that women in Ghana, including the wives of armed forces, were given loans to do business. And women who were able to succeed in doing business and with the dividends could afford the VW Volkswagen. And that's it. No armed forces officer's wife, an armed forces officer, complains a Kutu Champon. But this political mass slanging and propaganda managed to have its way, courtesy the likes of Kwaku Annan. Will one day tell the story of this country very well. Sumahu. Kwame Nkrumah time now here. And then where? And then I'm manufacture. And toast to create the tomatoes, malata tomatoes, and pomu import. I yari for yari.
Be a quick one.
Yeah.
When's the last name I can say?
Yeah.
She has been treated unfairly. National service one, I didn't call.
Yeah.
Me name free. But Argentina or no, and they the face of it. Meanwhile, we share the processes.
Organogram now.
What more they are doing? They did in Shishemuna. What no or Mahum baby out. What does it?
Yeah. Well,
share the first year aircon. Or more the master list no bar, or more director in charge of deployment. Or no the generative first P. Now about deputy executive director operations. Now I approve first one. Now I call a year executive director Nangasaho. Now I approve. We are now I call NSPS register. Now I call register no more. The payment system no. Student be able call the district.
That's right.
No I call evaluation. We are the district manager. Be upload evaluation forms no. Now about regional director or no ama approval. If we want no more, a paper auditors no for compliance.
Good.
Moja compliance we are executive director will give final approval.
That's right.
Or my final approval we are not for a certain director account. And I use switch for. Let us say oh my sub process we mu. Or no na no your deputy administration. Ne ho ben the was ade we.
Great, no ho ben the wo ya.
O da mami fa manusi.
Quick one.
Ne ho anim.
Yeah.
Na da bi anu you in charge of operations. Operations.
Yeah.
What in am ho no mo to ayampia. Me say this government don't disappoint us.
Great, don't disappoint us folks.